Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the 10 things I've learnt in 10 years on Booktube. Now, for those of you who follow my channel regularly, you'll know last week my channel celebrated 10 years on Booktube, which is a really long time. And I find it really funny that this 10-year anniversary is falling very close to me turning 40 as well. So I've basically spent a quarter of my life talking about books on the internet. And for the most part, it's been a really good time. And while I did originally have a whole lot of other ideas to do to celebrate 10 years on Booktube, ultimately I thought this kind of video of 10 things that I've learned probably sums up my experience. And I do want to mention my channel is actually older than 10 years. I used to post planner content, so that's all still available way back. There are thousands of videos on my channel, and I have very rarely deleted or privated videos across the number of years that I've been online for lots of different reasons, and mostly it's just because I'm a little bit lazy. Also, there are people who still watch some of that old content, which totally blows my mind. But if you're interested in my thoughts, stick around and just know that these are just things that I've learnt personally. They may differ from person to person. A lot of them are things that I have seen and observed over the last 10 years and just formed these opinions on. The first one being, you have to decide whether you want your channel, if you want to start a Booktube channel, whether you are doing it as a hobby or as something where you want to make money. And you can tell the difference between channels that are out here making content to produce views and to make money. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine if you have the time, space, etc. to do that. My channel is eligible for monetization. I have monetized it before, and I have also taken that away because really for me this is a hobby. That's where I've settled on. I just want to talk about the things that I want to talk about on the internet, and I want to do it in a way that makes me happy. And I don't want to be chasing trends, which I believe, is one of the things. If you are planning on making this something where you are making money, you have to be willing to chase trends or set trends. You have to be willing to put in all the time and effort that is required in order to make money. I've talked about this many times on my channel before. I have a full-time job. My full-time job is full on. It's not a 9-to-5 job. I'm a teacher, so my job goes well beyond my hours and it leaves me exhausted. So at the end of the day, I literally don't have the energy levels in order to make this channel any more than it is. Like I'm very happy with my channel and my little hobby. I do think you notice as a viewer the difference between people who are doing it because this is their job and the people who are doing it because of their hobby. For better or worse, either way, I think you notice the difference, and you as a viewer will decide which version of the content you prefer. Whichever stream you take, and you can try both and then make a decision about which one works best for you. But I do think you kind of have to make that decision. It becomes your why. Why do you do this? My why is that I love to talk about books. When I started this channel, I didn't have people to talk about books with, so I talked about it and threw it out into the ether on the internet. I have built a really lovely group of friends around this, a great community, and I don't regret that for a second. The second thing that I've learned, the basics work for a reason. TBR videos, wrap-ups, all of that, those are kind of the core content of Booktube, and while they have been around forever and everyone has seen pretty much every single version that you can possibly do of these things, they work for a reason. The format, the structure, the expectation behind it from viewership perspectives is we know what we're going to get and we're going to enjoy it regardless. And that's totally fine. And before anyone says anything like, Steph, you don't film TBR videos anymore, I don't, because they don't work for me personally. And because this is my hobby, I get to pick and choose what it is that makes me happy to film and that I'm willing to film. Same thing goes for wrap-ups. Lots of people love mid and end of month wrap-ups and mid-year and end of year wrap-ups and all that sort of thing. And I enjoy those too, but you guys know my preferred format has always been weekly wrap-ups. I just read so much that it makes it easier for me and I remember the details better, which is not to say that I wouldn't remember them at the end of the month. I have been able to do that before, but I also like to talk about books pretty much as soon as I've read them because I'm excited about them. I want to share them. I want to talk about the immediate reaction and feelings that I have, and weekly wrap-ups helps me with that. Whatever format you take, as long as it works for you, that's going to be the most important thing. Tip number 3, get rid of the phrase, I need to read. Please, for the love of all things, get rid of that phrase. You are not required to read anything. You can read 1 book per year and you are a reader. You can read a webcomic and that's the only thing you read in a year and you're a reader. There is no such thing as you need to read. And this is another reason why I don't necessarily film TBRs anymore because I actually really struggle with watching people's TBRs. There's very few people that I can actually watch because a lot of people use I need to read. And I get really frustrated because I don't understand why people put pressure on themselves. You might have commitments for book clubs and that's also completely fine and valid, but also book clubs don't require you to finish a book. And I suppose I should probably rebrand tip 4 as not get rid of the phrase need to read. Should be read what makes you happy. There is no need to read any specific books. And I suppose that the trade-off then is if you are chasing content current content, there may be things that have to be on your radar. But I'm of the category of read what makes you happy, read backlist, read the bonkers book, read the author that no one else is reading at the moment, read the genre that you don't normally read but you're really excited about a book. Like, embrace what reading is, which is the ability to escape into completely different worlds or to learn more about the world if you're a non-fiction reader in a way that is authentic to you and makes you happy. That's what comes across as genuine and engaging in videos. Which brings us to point 4, which is DNF often and early. I'm so glad that over the last couple of years this has become a really big kind of movement and conversation starting point. I used to be of the camp that I had to finish every book that I read, and it was making me miserable. And I have some really good friends to thank for helping me see the importance of just putting down a book that's no longer working for you, which has then kind of spawned into me and the light switch flip moment that happened in my brain when I started DNFing is that I can DNF in the first chapter, I can DNF on the first page, because I know myself so well. And knowing yourself as a reader, knowing what you like, knowing the style of writing that you like, knowing whether there are going to be certain things that trigger you in a book, and I don't mean content warning triggers, I mean just the construction of a book, means that you are keeping your reading moving, and it means you're reading the things that you're going to enjoy. There is nothing worse than struggling through a book that you are not enjoying. And it's not to say that there aren't books that I feel really nonplussed about reading that I won't push through. There are definitely books like that, the most recent one being Ode to the Half-Broken. But there was always something in the back of my mind that said, there is going to be something here that you're going to enjoy. And there are some other books that you just sit there and you go, I'm not enjoying this at all. There is nothing that I'm looking forward to. I can predict exactly which way this is going to go, or this writing style is driving me completely up the wall and I can't work with it. There is a difference, and the more that you read, the more that you DNF, and the way that you structure and think about the things that you like, you begin to pick up on that really specific kind of information as you're reading, and you can make a really informed decision. And there are so many books in this world. There are so many good books in this world for us to read, that just reading something because it's popular or because you think you have to read it or because everyone else is reading it or anything like that, we don't need to have that mentality, because there is so much more out there and we should be looking for it, and we should be having fun with our reading, and we should be enjoying the experience every single time, even if it makes us bawl our eyes out and leaves us a complete wreck at the end. That is still enjoyment. We're still engaging with a text on an emotional level. So DNF often and early. Create space for the things that you're really going to enjoy in your life. Observation number 5, I suppose, is not one that necessarily applies to my channel, but it's just something to consider if you are starting a booktube channel, is that negative content gets views. I'm not a fan of negative content, like people deliberately creating entire videos that are designed to tear apart a book or tear apart an author or anything like that. Now, there are some authors who do terrible things out there, and being aware of that and making an informed choice about whether you choose to read them or not is important. I'm not saying that's not an important thing. Same thing goes for books. Some books have incredibly harmful content, but I don't like reviews that are literally set up to just tear apart every single part of a book. If you don't like a book, I just want to know that you don't like it, and you can say why, and maybe you can say it was problematic in this way, and I will take your word for it. There has been an increasing trend over the last couple of years in increasingly negative content, and I just don't find that personally engaging. Now, some people love that. Again, difference of opinion, totally fine. But something to consider, and I've talked about this with my friends before. There are a number of times, particularly in vlogs, where something has gone on in the day or something has happened, and I actually just word vomit at the camera all the things that are bothering me or that are driving me nuts. And then when I go to edit, I cut it all out. I don't put it in the video. One, I don't like putting negative content out there. I'm also, I work in a public space, so I do have to be careful. There is something cathartic about saying it. 100% there is always something cathartic about saying all the thoughts that are in your head, negative, positive, whatever. For me personally, saying it and then deleting it is a good way just to clear it from my brain space. And usually the most negative you'll get from me is saying that I hated this book, or I DNF'd this book because it was boring, or it was aggressively average, or something like that. Like that's the extent of my negativity, because at the end of the day, someone has put time and effort into writing a book. That book is probably going to have an audience somewhere else. Totally fine, totally valid. My reading does not dictate somebody else's reading. I don't feel like I need to tear somebody down or somebody's work down in order to get views. I don't think that's necessary. Because, as I said, I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing this as a hobby. At the end of the day, if you come to my channel, you're going to get my honest thoughts, but you're probably not going to get too much negativity, because there's enough of that in the world. Kind of linked to that, number 6 is find your people and stay out of the drama for your own sanity. Everyone will talk about the Booktube community and things like that. Now, I was on Booktube for a number of years before I found the people that I really connected with. I have a really wonderful small group chat of people who I met during lockdowns. That's how I met them. And we were online all the time. I was involved in a lot of online reading sprints and live shows at that time because I had more time because I couldn't go anywhere. And that's how I found my people. And I'm so incredibly grateful because they are some of the people who have been most consistent in my life for the last 6 years. And I could not be more grateful for them. I've also been able to connect with some really wonderful creators here in Australia who I think are just absolutely wonderful. And I suppose the point here is that it might take you time to find your friends. And the only way to kind of connect with other people is to genuinely connect with them. You start off by cultivating your watch feed with people that you genuinely enjoy watching. You genuinely engage with their content. You're not just there to get people to come back and watch your content. You're engaging and you're leaving comments, and you might be in people's discords, and you might be having chats to them in other social media platforms, and you're genuinely connecting. But if you stick with it, and if you're genuine, and if you're having genuine conversations with people over time, you find that group developing. I think the really cool thing now in this social media space, probably more over on Instagram than on Booktube, that I'm noticing here in Australia at least, is there are more opportunities to connect with people offline, which then can help because that you can go to book clubs. There's a lot more romance bookstores opening up, so people organise trips to meet up at the bookstores. That can be a really great way to cultivate that group. But the one thing I will say, also linked to that negativity and your own sanity, once you have that group, have your group chat, and any grievances that you have, once you have your people, share them in the group chat. Please don't share them on the internet. It just makes everyone look ridiculous. Yes, there are genuine things that need to be talked about, but more often than not, it can be shared in the group chat and be totally fine because you've got your people who know where you're coming from, and you can have your rant in there and it's totally fine. Maybe it's the nearly 40-year-old in me just going, I can't believe this is a conversation again. And yet here we are. Find your people, have your group chat, stay out of the drama for your own sanity. Point 7 is everything has its season. My channel has evolved in many different ways over the course of 10 years. When I started out, I was reading mostly young adult, I was reading science fiction, and I was reading some fantasy. Now I mostly read romance books. I used to do TBR videos religiously. Now I no longer do those TBR videos because they don't suit me. I tried for 1 year not to do weekly wrap-ups. It nearly drove me nuts, so I've come back to them this year. Different things in the book community, the books that you're reading, the formats that you're reading, the genre that you're reading, all of that will change over time. Embrace it and make the most of it, and talk about the hows and the whys. I used to read so many less ebooks than I do now, and at the moment I'm finding it really difficult to physically hold a physical book and read with my eyeballs. If I have access to the audiobook, I will 100% pick the audiobook over it, mostly because I feel like my undiagnosed ADHD is ADHDing in the extreme at the moment, and I look around and I'm like, I need to clean, and if I'm sitting, all I want to do is read a book. But if I can put on an audiobook, I'm more likely to go and do the housework and the adulting things that I need to do. And that's totally fine. You will likely find that you cycle back to things constantly. Like I'm trying to increase my number of science fiction books again because I love the genre. Just embrace those seasons and changes that happen across life because they do. Life is not static. We are not static individuals as humans. Number 8 is be your authentic self. You might be someone who loves to dress up and to put on lots of makeup. You might be someone who just wants to be in a hoodie and a blanket with a book and just want to, word vomit about what it is that you're reading. I can be both. Less so the dressing up and the makeup and whatever now because it's not something I always want to be doing, especially on days when I'm not working and I have to put on makeup to look, semi-human and presentable. But do it in a way that feels like you, and don't worry about what other people are going to say because everyone is going to have an opinion on everyone no matter what you do. You are actually not the issue in that. That is somebody else's thing. And I think developing the confidence to be who you are, particularly if you're going to put yourself on camera, is really, really important. So many times I watch videos and the first question in my mind is, are you being genuine or are you trying to be someone that you're not? And again, that's not a negative criticism. Sometimes it feels like people lean too much in the performative side, and I struggle to watch those videos because it doesn't feel genuine and authentic. Whereas I love videos where people are sitting down, they might have a coffee or a tea, or it might be the end of the day and they just want to talk about books. I love that. I love that authentic persona. And it's not to say one is better or not than the other. Like you will find what it is that you like to watch and you will cultivate your own sense of aesthetic, what makes you you in your space. But make sure you're being authentic to yourself. And one other thing is, it used to be that you had to be a specific thing in videos, like you had to read a specific type of book or whatever, and you couldn't post about anything else except reading. And in a lot of ways, that's still true. The algorithm will always reward consistency. However, bookish people have varied hobbies. Bookish people are likely to be doing crafts, or they're likely to be journaling, or they're likely to have some hobby that is a really important part of their life. They might like hiking or bike riding or things like that if they're audiobook listeners. Incorporate that into your channel because it just feels so much more real and it helps build a sense of connection, I think, to people. Take that as you will. Those are the things that I like to see in people. I don't care if you post something completely random on your channel, if it is sharing part of your authentic self that you're willing to share with others as a way of connecting with your audience. Tip number 9 is develop systems that work for you. This is the sort of the technical side of having a channel. Decide when is a good time for filming for you. For me, it's always first thing in the morning. I get the best amount of light to film videos. Usually I have to film on the weekends, and often on a Saturday is the best day for me to film because that gives me a little bit of grace time, particularly for my Monday videos in terms of editing. You know, learn how to use your editing software, figure out how much time it takes you to edit videos. The longer that you do it, the faster you get at the whole thing, and you will develop your process for editing as well. What you have to do is really create a schedule and a system that's going to work for you, and you also have to be willing to, you know, go with the flow when it doesn't work, because there will be days and weeks where it doesn't. And one of the biggest things that I've had to let go of over the last kind of 2 years is that despite the fact that for nearly 10 years I had a 3-day-a-week upload schedule, that doesn't always work for me anymore. Sometimes the videos just aren't there, or sometimes I have the videos, I just don't have the capacity and the energy to edit those videos and get them up in time. And it's okay. The world will not end. It's a video. Be kind to yourself, which leads in really nicely to my last thing that I've learned on Booktube, which is to have fun. This should be fun. It should be enjoyable. It should be something that you're excited to do, to talk about books, to talk about the things that you're loving reading, to talk about the things that you have loved reading. Not everything has to be current. You're in a space where people genuinely love to share, to talk, to hear about books, and to hear about what people are reading. Have fun with it and enjoy the moment and enjoy the conversations that stem from it, because some people don't have big groups of people to talk about books with, and this is their space and opportunity to do so. So those are 10 things that I have learnt on Booktube over the last 10 years. What would you add to the list for those people who make content or who even post on Instagram or reviews or things like that? What are things that you have learnt over the years? What have I missed? Feel free to share that down below. Otherwise, if you just want to let me know that you're here but you don't leave a comment, feel free to leave a balloon emoji to let me know that you're here. I'm not going anywhere. I've still got things planned, weekly wrap-ups and whatnot. As long as they let me talk about books on the internet, I'm going to continue to talk about books on the internet. Whatever books those may be, whatever genres that may be, who knows? I can't predict the future. All I can do is reflect on the journey so far and, you know, just hope that we continue in a really positive vein with books and reading moving forward. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.